These are Xbox 360 games, and all of their cases are different. I'm not kidding when I say I felt like a mad scientist when I was going through my bookshelf, getting ready to record this video, because I was making discoveries as I was pulling them off the shelf in order to prepare for this video. So I already knew, obviously, that there was an inconsistent history to the Xbox 360 cases, hence why I had this idea in the first place. But as I was going through my games, I didn't realize just how inconsistent the history truly was, and furthermore, there are some that I know of that aren't even in this pile here that are, okay, they're kind of tottering on like, okay, do they really count? I would say that they count, but we're just going to go through the actual Xbox 360 cases today, and then we'll go through some of the outliers that I don't actually have in my collection just because there's that many distinct cases in the Xbox 360 library. And if this video gets to a point where it starts to feel a little scatterbrained or, you know, jumbled up or confused, that's because the more I was pulling them off the shelf, the more I was getting confused. And the thing is, I don't even know where to begin with it. Okay, you know what? I actually do know where to begin with this. We are going to start out by looking, even as I look at them, I'm noticing differences. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to grab a couple of games and just look at what a standard Xbox 360 case should look like, depending on what time we're talking about. Okay, so if we're looking towards the beginning of the console's life cycle, here is a pretty standard Xbox 360 case. You have a pretty dark Xbox 360 logo, which that is going to be relevant. You have the Xbox 360 logo, and otherwise it's pretty standard. It says Xbox 360, it says Live at the top to denote that this game supports Xbox Live. That'll be important later. And then on the back and the side and everything is, again, for the most part, except for the logo. And that is something that we're going to need to look at going forward. And don't worry, that's not the only thing that we're going to be talking about. And then when you look towards the middle of the Xbox 360's life, up until the end of it, you had these cases where, again, they're the exact same, but there is a few things missing. So you don't have the live, you know, the little tag up there that we have with, like, GTA 4, for example, where it denotes, like, hey, this game supports Xbox Live. No, right here, there's just nothing, but it says Xbox 360, and if you notice, if you take a look at the logo and you compare it to the GTA 4 one, I apologize for the terrible lighting. If I just, like, kind of block it for a second, you might get a better look at it. Yeah, the one for GTA 4 is obviously much darker than the one for Injustice, to where, you know, most of the circle or most of the Xbox logo isn't actually that dark gray, but it's also not completely white yet. It's just, it's kind of getting to that purity point where it's almost completely white, but it still has some of the gray kind of coming in from the shadows. But otherwise, again, for the most part, it's the exact same, despite, you know, aside from the color of the Xbox logo on the side there that you would see on your shelf. And then at the end, the very end of the Xbox 360 life cycle, you started to see these games where they had these very pure white Xbox One era logos where, I mean, there's no more shadow in there. It's literally just white and green. You see it on the shelf. You could almost mistake it for an Xbox One game if you didn't see the 360, you know, logo below that. And now this is where the inconsistencies begin, because we have our bog standard 3 games right here. GTA 4, GTA 5, and Injustice, all in order here. GTA 4, Injustice, and GTA 5, of how the Xbox logo sort of looked from the beginning to the end of the console's life cycle. I'm covering up the light, so then hopefully you guys are actually able to see it, because it is a really bright light, just in all the wrong ways. It's really bright when it's shining in one very small direction, because it's like a cheap Temu, third-party, made in China, but China's spelled incorrectly because it's that cheap of a product desk lamp. We've been over this before. Work with what I got. One day I hope to improve my setup a little bit, but you know, we'll deal with the cheap TCL $100 knockoff phone and the cheap desk lamp, and you know, the mic is actually pretty good quality, so, you know, that's good. Where in God's name do we even go for it? Like, my brain already hurts. Okay, so we'll start from the beginning. So, next up we have the Xbox 360 case, and this looks very similar to the GTA one that I showed before, the GTA 4 one specifically, where, you know, it's just a standard case, except the logo appears a little bit darker, and same thing here on the side, it's a little bit darker, and otherwise on the front, the back, everything is basically the exact same, except there is a little bit of a difference here. So if we go ahead and go back to the GTA 4 case, up here you will see that it says live, just the word live, but then over here on this case, where it is from that similar era, it says Xbox Live. So there's a little bit of a difference there. Instead of just saying live, it says Xbox Live. And furthermore, there's a tag that denotes, hey, this is only on Xbox 360. And once again, that's going to be relevant in a little bit, because there's a lot of inconsistency here. So, again, it says Xbox Live instead of just Live, and then it says only on Xbox 360. And that, again, is where some of the issues also start to arise. So, if we just go ahead and take a look at the Injustice case again, even though this game clearly supports Xbox Live, There is no such tag denoting that it supports that. Now, granted, it does say on the back here that it supports Xbox Live, so that I believe what they may have done is just move the location of the tag. So rather than just saying Xbox Live up here, yeah, when you look on the back, like, sure, it says that it supports online, like, down here in this fine print, like, in the very small text boxes down here. But when you look at the Injustice game, again, there's no Xbox Live tag up there, but when you flip it over, it has that clear green tag right there saying, hey, it supports Xbox Live. So maybe this was a situation of them trying to make the front look a little bit cleaner, so they moved it to the back. That's totally possible. But now this is where I start to get really confused, because then we look at a game like Halo Combat Evolved, and as we had already laid out before, if it's an Xbox 360 exclusive, typically it will say only on Xbox 360, and it will also try to denote that it's, you know, it supports Xbox Live. But on this game, unlike Injustice, there is no Xbox Live tag, nor does it say only on Xbox 360. It just says Xbox 360, and that's that. Granted, there is a case to be made because this is a remake of Halo 1, which was technically on the original Xbox, so therefore you could say, hey, this game isn't only available on Xbox 360, but this is the anniversary edition of Combat Evolved, which I feel like means, yeah, this version specifically is only available on Xbox 360, so maybe that logo should be there since it's a 360 exclusive. And furthermore, again, when we look at the bottom, sure, it technically does say that it supports Xbox Live right there, not really little tunnel text, that little orange word, that says Xbox Live, but there's nothing denoting it on the front. And again, we're already seeing some inconsistencies, so this is just the beginning of the rabbit hole. Where do we go next? I feel like next we should go over to the double packs. Yeah, why don't we go to the double packs? So this was a thing on the Xbox 360 as well, where you'd have these double packs, and we're not going to go through every single double pack just because it tends to be the exact same thing. The only difference being like the color of the logo sometimes. If it came out a little bit later, it will be a little bit whiter. If it came out a little bit earlier, it'll be dark gray just like this. So, you know, we already kind of covered that with the other Xbox 360 games, so we won't go too deep into that. But yeah, we had a lot of these double packs, like this one, for example, where it's Lego Indiana Jones and Kung Fu Panda, and the other one I can think of is like Lego Batman and Pure, which was a really fun game, by the way. And yeah, there was a decent handful of these. There was also one for like Sega Tennis and all that, and it also came with like some Xbox Live Arcade games on that disc. I actually saw that on my local GameStop. I want to go back and pick that up at some point, but yeah, you know, that's just, it's the double pack. I also find it to be interesting because these games are obviously from two completely different publishers, so like, how does that even work? Did Microsoft like go to these publishers, like they go to Activision, because Activision's the one that published a lot of these like licensed movie games back in the day, like the Spider-Man games and this one, Kung Fu Panda, which this game is like super underrated. I played the PS2 version of it back in the day, and oh my gosh, I put like so many hours in that game, beat it so many times, 100%ed it, love that game. I still go back and play it at least once a year just because I love it that much. But yeah, so obviously like Activision was behind this one, and then like TT Games and LucasArts was behind this one. So did they just like get them to agree to ship on one well, it's not even one disc, because when you open it up, then you have the double cases, which, if we really want to get technical, I could have opened these cases up and started to show the differences between like the 2-disc cases and the, but we're not going to go that crazy, because there is some games where you'll open it up and it has this little flap right here, but then some games you'll open it up and it'll maybe have like a double thing like this, where it'll have room for 2 discs on here and then 2 discs on the back, or like 2 discs on each. It gets crazy. Wolfenstein: The New Order and Final Fantasy 13 are the ones that I'm thinking about specifically. And then next up we have the Kinect games. The cases are purple! So up here it says Xbox 360 and Kinect, and again, the case is purple, and I mean, that's basically all there is. There's also a big thing here that says requires Kinect, so this game was also an Xbox One, but since we're talking about Xbox 360 games, I figured I'd grab the 360 copy just to talk about it. This game is a lot of fun, by the way. On the side, everything else is basically the same. It obviously has one of the later Xbox 360 logos because the Kinect didn't come out until like later in the 360's life, but otherwise, yeah, the main thing here was just the fact that the case is purple, when for the most part, the 360 cases are usually green. And, oh man, do we get into that rabbit hole already? You know what, now that I'm looking at all the oh my gosh, I just realized that we literally, dude, there is 8 different iterations of the Platinum hits on Xbox 360. This is gonna be a wild ride. Where in God's name do we even begin with this? Okay, I guess, do we start from, I guess, what would kind of be the beginning? You know, how do I even go about it? There was 8 different Platinum Hits versions. You don't see the differences yet, but you will. For the love of all that is mighty. Okay, we're just gonna start with the worst one here. The Platinum Family Hits. I don't want to look at this for longer than I have to. In a video that I put out before called, yeah, what was it, like Greatest Hits video game cases, I had spoken about how much I despise this, and this is easily the worst greatest hits game case ever. Like, you know, it wasn't just for LEGO Star Wars, by the way. This was done to a good handful of games, and can I get some cover art with my gray box of nothing, please? It has the old school Xbox 360 logo because they realized pretty quickly that this looks pretty garbage, so they stopped doing it pretty early in the console's life cycle. On the side, it looks the same, and otherwise, yeah, you know, it has the little live logo up here, which unfortunately you can't actually play LEGO Star Wars on Xbox Live anymore because the servers are just donezo. But thankfully, that's what couch co-op, or, you know, for me, single players for, because I don't have any friends or family or anything IRL. But, anyways, yeah, that's basically it. Again, it has the live tag up there, which is, you know, something important we gotta note and look at later on, and the case is gray now, or platinum, or silver, or whatever Xbox is trying to call this. Yeah, you got the platinum hits thing, and man, this rabbit hole's about to get crazy here. Okay, so now we'll go on to the next one. This isn't in any particular order. There's just a lot of very specific differences we're going to need to look at. So next up, we have Star Wars The Force Unleashed, and you may be looking at this like, hold up, yeah, there is a good bit different here. So if you look at the front of the case, it says Xbox 360 Platinum Hits. And unlike basically every other... Oh my gosh, that's another difference that I just realized. Okay, so for certain games, the little white banner here, it's going to be a different color. So for this version of LEGO Star Wars, it goes white into a light thing of like gray over there in the corner underneath the live thing. But then if we looked at the Kinect games, we got the white, the purple, and then the green where it says Kinect. Over on LEGO Indiana Jones, it's the same thing as before where it's just white and gray. So that wasn't just for the Platinum Hits games. But then you look at something like Combat Evolved, and then it goes white into green. But then if you look at this game, it's all just gray at the top, and it says Xbox 360. It looks to be in the same font. I don't know, that font, no, the text is actually a different color. So on a standard Xbox 360 case, yeah, it goes green and then gray, so green for Xbox, gray for 360. But then when you look at this one, it is just all white for the Xbox 360 text, and then it says Platinum Hits in white and then green. And the entire background is gray, except for the little lines that would normally be gray on a normal 360 case around this time. That then goes black, and again, we have like the standard like 360 logo at the time where it's a little bit darker, and it also says Greatness is Earned, which is saying like, hey, this game earned its spot as a Platinum Hit, which I do agree with that. Star Wars The Force Unleashed is one of my favorite Star Wars games of all time, as well as its sequel. Force Unleashed 2 is super underrated. But then we look at the side of the case, and yeah, this is where my issues start to arise with Platinum Hits during this era, because honestly, out of all the Platinum Hits they did, this one is easily like the least egregious, probably from the front, but from the side, oh man. When you have these two things sitting on a shelf, it just, no. And now there's even more differences that we need to point out. So on the surface, okay, well, first things first, we have another example of a Platinum Hits game right here where it has the relevant Xbox logo to when the game released, or when this version of the game released. So if you look over here on the Plants vs. Zombies one, this one obviously came out more towards the middle of the 360's life. So you have the Platinum Hits thing over on the side, you got the gray banner up here, which again, on a normal 360 case would go white to green. On here it goes gray to green, and it has a little Platinum Hits logo right there, and it has the standard color for the time. But on the side, it has the Platinum Hits thing at the top with the little gray spine, which I've already talked about before, how I absolutely hate that. But then it has this standard Arial Calibri, just nothing font, no logos, no color. It has the PopCap logo, which is fun, but you put it on the shelf and it's just Platinum Hits, and then the basic, like, okay. And the same thing happened here, except, once again, it has the relevant colored Xbox logo of the time with, like, the Xbox One looking thing. It goes gray to green, saying Platinum Hits. But there's another funny delineation here, which I assume just has to do with when these games released. This one, again, has the Xbox Live green tag down here that we talked about before, where over here, this one just has the little tiny itty-bitty orange Xbox Live logo, because this game did have Xbox Live features. It just has that tiny little thing down at the bottom, and it's just like, what? Why is everything so inconsistent? And the funny thing is, we have 4 more cases to look at. Now, if you remember the gray case we had talked about before, I was like, hey, you know, this was like the early time of the 360's life. They were figuring things out. Sure, the box art didn't look great at all with what they had going on there, but they learned from their mistakes later on, right? No, they did not. Okay, so we have Borderlands here, and it's a Platinum Hits thing, goes gray to green at the top. It has the tiny little orange Xbox Live tag down at the bottom. And on the side, it does the same thing as one of the other games did, where it's, you know, long spine. Even with the bad lighting, you can tell where, like, the logo begins and where, like, the spine ends or whatever for the Platinum Hits thing. Yeah, it goes all the way down, and then you see the logo right there at the bottom with the little publisher logo and such. But as you can notice, it's also in a gray case. Another funny delineation here is that right on the front, it says, Platinum Hits Bestseller Awarded. Just this giant tag just sitting there on the front. It's just a part of the cover art, so... yeah, that's yet another difference in Xbox 360 cases, and that's not where they end. So now we're looking at Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe, and you might be looking at this like grotesque. This looks pretty standard, okay? We have the colored logo of the time, goes gray to green. Look at the side, we have the actual logo here, as well as the Xbox 360 usual, like, grayish, you know, Platinum Hits tag on the side. Again, we got the logo of the game and everything, but if you look at the color of the case, this time it's green, and furthermore, you may have noticed, there's no Xbox Live tag up here, nor is there a green Xbox Live tag down here, nor is there the orange Xbox Live words on here, even though it did have Xbox Live support. The only way that you would know that this game is Xbox Live, because again, it does not have the orange words, nor does it have the orange tag, nor does it have the tags on the front, is because it simply says online multiplayer down here. Not sure how well you can read that, but the words say online multiplayer, not Xbox Live, just online multiplayer. The differences never stop. And once again, it has the Platinum Hits bestseller thing right here, but that's where another difference comes into play, and you won't even notice it at first. Okay, so I'm just gonna hold this up, right? Okay, we got the Xbox 360 thing, has like the colored logo on the side, has the Platinum Hits thing. Same usual shebang, Xbox 360 Platinum Hits, logo of the game, that's literally it on the back. There isn't any of the Xbox 360 tags, it does just have a tag saying Grand Theft Auto 4 not required to play, which that was also on the PS3 version of the episodes from Liberty City version of the game, so that's like whatever, you know, that's not an Xbox 360 case thing, it was there on the PS3 version as well. Down here it does have the little orange tag for Xbox Live, so at least that's actually there. But the one difference you may or may not have noticed yet is the placement of the Platinum Hits tag. So, if you look at Mortal Kombat vs. DC Universe, the tag is up here, whereas on the Ballad of, or not the episodes from Liberty City, Ballad of Gay Tony's part of this, but episodes from Liberty City, sorry, it has the tag down here. Why? I don't know. And then we have yet another difference in the Platinum Hits. And mind you again, this probably isn't even all the differences, these are just the ones that I noticed when looking at my shelf. So we have another set, you probably know what to expect by now. All gray at the top because this was an earlier life cycle Xbox 360 game. On the side it says Halo 3, you know, it goes all the way down, the Platinum Hits thing, got the logo of the game. It said this is a bit darker because again it was a bit earlier on. It says greatness is earned, as we had talked about before. That was something that they had before where it was like, hey, greatness is earned, so you put that there to be like, hey, this game earned its spot as a Platinum Hit. But once again, it's a Platinum Hit, and even though it's an early Xbox 360 lifecycle game, it doesn't say Xbox Live, it doesn't say only on Xbox 360, and furthermore, the placement of the tag is the same, but the aesthetic of the Platinum Hits tag is different. You can't make this up. Why were they changing things? Oh, look, that's the Platinum Hits tag for the later games. And then when you look at the one over here on the earlier Xbox 360 games, it's just completely different. And once again, the case is gray, it's your silver, platinum, whatever, and on the back, there's no Xbox Live tag. Again, there's no Xbox Live tag here, or an only on 360 tag, even though this game is only on 360. Instead, it just has an online multiplayer tag like before. It doesn't say Xbox Live, just online multiplayer 2 to 16. Even though later Xbox 360, like later Halo games and games that came before it always had an Xbox Live advertisement on there. Microsoft, why? And the sad part is, that isn't where it ends. You have multiple iterations of, in fact, you know what? I will be right back, because there was actually one that I forgot about. I apologize if the audio just went real doo-doo right there. I realized that when I freaked out, I accidentally like yanked on my microphone cord, and yeah, so it was relying on my phone audio for a minute, so it probably sounded like garbage, but anyway, I'm back, and you know how before we had talked about the double pack Xbox 360 games from earlier in the console's life cycle? Yeah, well, you know what? There was yet another difference that dawned on me as I was sitting here recording. So, not only is it a double pack, not only is it platinum hits, but it's just, okay, so let's just get the okay, so again, as I mentioned before, this wasn't a platinum hit situation. This was just, hey, 2 Xbox 360 games and a double pack. This is not only a double pack or a combo pack or whatever they want to call it, but it's also a platinum hits. It also came out towards the end of the 360s, after actually the end of the 360s life cycle. This came out around the time of Black Ops 3, because if you open it up, there's a little slip saying like, hey, complete the trilogy on Xbox One, even though Black Ops 3 was available on Xbox 360, but I can understand why they were advertising the Xbox One version if you played that version of the game before. And once again, the differences just don't stop. So, again, since this was towards the end of the life cycle, you have the, the little Xbox Live tag on the back, and then on the front, no Xbox Live tag or anything like that up there. You have the Platinum Hits logo once again changing. It's not down here this time. It's not down here this time. It is up here this time. It's labeled as a combo pack. The case is green, so that's better than gray. But again, it's just another difference in... I don't even know what to say. And the saddest part of all, we're not done. Once Microsoft decided to introduce backwards compatibility to their Xbox One and subsequently later on Series X and S systems, there was yet another change that was made to some Xbox 360 cases, specifically the ones that are backwards compatible on the Xbox One and Series systems. I'm going to display them on your screen now. Some were the size of Xbox 360 cases, some were the size of Xbox One cases, and for some reason, they all had the Xbox One and 360 logos merged at the top of the case. Could I tell you why? Microsoft. Xbox. Inconsistencies. That's why. So if there's anything that we learn from all this, I have too much time on my... I literally sit there staring at my shelf to notice these little differences on these cases. Like, is that, like, it... This just says more about me than the cases, doesn't it? But, you know what? That's okay. This is what I find interesting. This is what I enjoy doing. So, even if it means driving myself crazy, analyzing every single detail of all of these Xbox 360 cases that are different in some way, form, or fashion, and these aren't even all of them, as we had discussed and with the pictures I had shown before, at least I had fun in the process. Even if it drove me insane. But anyway, as always, a massive shout out and thank you to all the patrons and channel members. Thank you to all of you in the low baller tier, and an even bigger shout out and thank you to all of you in the big baller tier, Metal Asking, and Big Daddy Manny, and the biggest shout out and thank you to all of you in the G tier, Rotten Vengeance, and Cheese Gold. Thank you guys so much. You guys are literal legends. I love you. Have an amazing day. Stay beautiful. I love you all. Peace.